better roll the dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice.
Hail and well met, Matt.
Hail, Rob. How dost thou be doing, my good sir?
I doth quest toward recording of Dungeon Master of None with mine friend and ally, Matt DM.
That's
Matt.
right. We're talking Grails. We're talking Knights. We're talking RPGs. So, of course, we're talking about Monty Python's co-curricular medieval reenactment program, Sensible Middle Class Edition. No. We're talking the other Arthurian TTRPG.
A Mythic Bastionland, everybody, is what we're talking about.
Chris McDowall. And
yes.
Oh boy. I'm so pumped to talk about this.
This is a good one. Those of you who are longtime listeners will remember that we mentioned McDowall in our Auteurs episode, and he's done a whole bunch of things. This is, I don't want to say spin-off is incorrect, but it is an evolution, a byproduct. It is related to Into the Odd, but only sort of like mechanically and very like loosely in terms of play style, but it is very much its own thing.
Right. You've got Into the Odd, great OSR, new SR game for Renaissance, crazy exploration. Or, sorry, not Renaissance, but like maybe early
Cthulhu,
modern,
Victorian, modern,
weirdness,
diesel
high
punk,
weirdness,
weird science. It's very weird. It's hard to categorize.
Electronic Bastionland, Electrical Age. But also weirdness. And now we have, I mean, he's done many other things, but now in the same series of OSR games, we have Mythic Bastionland, which is Knights. Rob, do you like Knights?
I love Knights. I'm a big fan of Knights and quests and paladins and crusaders and hedge knights, knights errant, all manner of things.
Rob, the hedge knight is the truest of knights.
The truest of the knights. That's right, Matt. That's right.
They keep their oths.
They do keep their oaths. Yeah, I went through.
Listeners, are there no true knights among ye? Sorry, I'm getting excited. I know the show's probably going to be like so-so or whatever, but those short stories, we're talking The Hedge Knight by George R.
Yeah.
Hey, I the best the writing
episode.
he has.
I thought it was great.
I'm
a big Dunk fan. Big Dunk and Egg. Loving how they're seeing them on screen. No, I went through a big. I mean, I went through a lot of phases, but I went through a big like night phase. I became fixated. So bear with me because I think this is relevant. But also you have to listen to me talk. You're on my podcast. I read The Dark Tower by Stephen King when I was probably like 14 and was just utterly enthralled by it. But like, I learned that The Dark Tower is based loosely on a poem of the same name by Robert Browning, which sort of like came to him in a dream, which is...
what's the name of the poem?
I think it's just The Dark Tower.
The Dark Tower, right.
Also sort of like loosely inspired by the Song of Roland, I
know that. That's the Warren Zevon, Thompson Gunner, I've heard that song.
The 11th century, epic about one of Charles Martel's paladins. Anyway, This led me down a path. I read the Song of Roland. I read the Morte d'Arthur. I read Jerusalem Delivered. I'm a big knight head.
Rob, the king to the matter of Britain pipeline is something that we must address among young men.
It's an issue. It's a problem. To this day, I think my favorite book is The Once and Future King. So I especially enjoy Arthurian legends and Arthurian myths, and boy, does Mythic Bastionland really get what a medieval knight story, a medieval questing tale is about. It really understands what's at the heart of those romantic epics, those chivalric tales. It really gets it.
I don't know, but I have a feeling that the author of this role-playing game also followed some sort of similar trajectory and
probably
has read, Historia Regnum Britannium or whatever. And this is not the role-playing game if you're like, oh, what if I had some kind of authentic medieval historical game about knights and their politics? No, what if I wanted a game about the stories that medieval people kind of thought were cool and I could play around in that world? Which to me is 1,000 times more interesting.
Way more interesting. Listen, there's a great medieval, low magic medieval fiction simulator out there, and it's called Burning Wheel. Go play it. You don't, if you want to play a guy who's realistically attacking another guy with his billhook, and the other guy is defending with, a shield and hand and a half sword, that's the game for you. But if you want to feel like you're in a weird sort of surreal
saga
mythic
poem
space, this is the game for you. If you want to encounter strange beings and riddles and poems and strange prophecies and unusual encounters that they're neither good nor bad, just kind of they happen, this is the game for you.
Rob, do you want to be peasant with a billhook, or do you want to be the Talon Knight who can see through the eyes of a bird, has a loyal bog vulture, and was knighted by the veiled seer, hanging from the folds of flesh and horse-like hair hide any semblance of their face?
I mean, I obviously want to be the Talon Knight, clearly.
Me too.
We'll talk in detail about like the knights and myths that you can encounter in this game, but it's not like this isn't like a high fantasy wish fulfillment. This is not D&D. You can be powerful in a way, but you are not going to be, smiting dragon. Well, you might be smiting dragons, but you
do
probably
have
not like
smite feet. So
yeah,
yes,
but
you
you're
will say
not,
I smite this thing sometimes.
You're probably not going to be doing the kind of things that you'd be doing as a high level fighter in D&D, but you also won't be, just some scrub. It's a very distinct style of play and type of game.
It's very rules light. It's very OSR, so it can be a lot of different things depending on the game master and the players at your table. But it's more like, let's build a weird world with weird opponents and antagonists and allies, and then let's just see what happens with that in that sandbox way. It's not like a simulator for writing the Song of Roland or Percival's, some old middle French poem about Percival. It's like, let's build this weird world and see what the players do with it.
Yeah, it strikes a very nice balance because it retains all of that OSR gameplay design. It's very open world, hex crawly, bounce around and interact with all of these things, get rewarded for thinking outside the box or coming up with creative solutions using your abilities and resources cleverly, but making you feel like you're inhabiting a mythic land of knights and lords and odd mythical beings. It's very well done.
Here's the other crazy thing that I think everyone should know about this game right off the bat is rules light OSR. Some have taken, a classless approach to rules light OSR. Some have taken 3 or 4 simple classes. This, to me, is even better than either of those options. Instead, your character you're encouraged to roll on a 72 table, D72 table, to get one of 72 different knights, from the True Knight to the Malice Knight to the Violet Knight to the Rat Knight, and they're all crazy. They all have beautiful art, these fun inspiration tables. With that moniker, build a cool character.
This is possible because each of those knights has its own distinct identity, but it's basically one sort of mechanical ability, one flavor ability, and some equipment descriptions, the seer that knighted them, and all of this fits in a page, but gives you what I think is just like a terrific amount of information to start building your character from. I love all of these knights. This is the coolest part. This book is full of tables. We have discussed how much we love tables. I love tables. So many great tables. Tables for knights, tables for myths, tables for terrain and lords and combat. And it's
a table to make your adventure's campaign setting.
Yeah.
You could just use the table. You would never have to think. But of course, the true power of the table is that as you start with the table, then you're like, there's this like cliffs and then this bog here. I wonder what's going on there. And I got to put one in. Oh, I see.
Matt and I will talk about this. We both use the tables to create a realm, and it was fun and easy. And like Matt said, you just sort of like see how the generation plays out, and you're like, oh, look at this interesting spot here, or like, I bet that's exactly where a myth would be, or that's got to be where my hold is. It's very well designed. It reminds me a lot of Mothership in that it has exactly, for me, like the right amount of rules for sort of randomly coming up with ideas, but also great structure for how to build your own adventures and campaigns. It's very easy for me to think through and follow just their instructions, or McDowall's instructions for creating both a campaign world and a campaign. It's great. It's very good stuff.
Two other big picture things I gotta say about this game is I love OSR stuff, but you're never gonna get like me fully excited for an OSR game that's another game about adventurers and dungeon crawling, unless there's like some kind of twist on it. But this is the perfect twist.
Yeah.
You're all knights. You're all a band of knights or some other formation of knights, and you go on quests. You have to go on quests to get glory and protect the realm. You have an oath. You have like purpose, like just a little bit of guidance for what players should do in this open hex crawl questing world. That's brilliant.
Yeah. We'll talk about this a bit too, but I feel the same way. Like I love all the OSR stuff, and because it's all very similar, it's very interchangeable. So I'm never mad when there's more. But for me to get excited, you got to do a little bit of something. And what I think this game shows is that you're still rolling a d20. It's still sort of like recognizably an OSR system, but like McDowall has built on the chassis and done something mechanically really interesting with the virtues and with guard and with how damage rolls work. And combat and interaction is, I think, a lot more interesting and dynamic than in OSR games. And it's designed to be simple in OSR games, but like I like that there's a little bit of nuance and complexity to it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. The other thing is the like final third of the book is just advice on how to run it. And it's really well written. And like, even if you weren't going to play this, if you're doing anything OSR, like it's worth a read. His prose is also just like so clear, and we've read so many wordy rule books and adventures over our careers in this podcast, Rob. And here's an author who doesn't waste a word, and I appreciate that.
Was just thinking about how pleasant this was after reading 700 pages of Pathfinder. How nice it was.
Right. Maybe that's why I'm saying that, because we just did that.
No, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, this is so pleasant. I'm having a great time reading this. And this is, Matt mentioned at the end, there's advice, but like something he does that I think is really, really smart and really useful, and I have specifically asked for, is there's several pages of examples of play. And the smart thing that he does is he's like, here's the example of play. And on the other side, he's like, well, this is what the, in this case, what's the referee did that I liked. And here's what I would have done differently. And this is, I think, a really like good way to teach the game. He talks through the decision making, and here's where they bent the rules. Here's where they got the rules right. Here's where they got something wrong. This is, again, every book should have more examples of play. I really liked this. I thought this was very important and very, very valuable, and greatly appreciated by me.
And I guess before we get into details, since I've flipped back to the cover page, and I know listeners are like, I don't care about this when we talk about this, but the graphic design of this and the illustrations by Alex Sorensen are amazing and
take a look.
Absolutely make you understand this.
Google the cover and take a look. It's
it's so good. Okay. So knights. What is a knight, Rob?
Kniggets. What is a knight?
Yes, I think when you start to play this game, based on our now 2 jokes about this, you need to start a timer. When does the first Monty Python joke at your table happen? And it will probably happen once, and then I think everyone will move on.
Listeners, you have to know that when Matt and I were around 13 years old, we attended Boy Scout camp, and I somehow acquired a pair of coconuts, and we went around doing Monty Python stuff, and everyone hated us. And
Yeah, they did.
It was really
we were having
annoying.
a great time though.
We were having a lot of fun too, but
no regrets.
No regrets. But yeah, perhaps we are doing some penance for that. Anyway, you
I want to play
like,
the Salt Knight, and my Salt Knight's tattoos will be no regrets.
No regrets. Anyway, so what are knights? What are knights specifically in Mythic Bastionland? What does a knight mean here?
So knights have an oath. The oaths are seek the myths, honor the seers, protect the realm. And I would encourage your players to write those down on their character sheets. They're all knighted by a seer, and they have visions of a coming past, maybe a once in future city. What the city is could tie into Chris McDowall's other works. Could be anything else. It could be whatever you want it to be.
I would like to talk about the city at the end, because I think we're being hit. But I love this. You're given a vibe, right? It's knights, it's Arthurian, but the established lore, such that it is, of Mythic Bastionland is limited to basically these three things, the things that Matt mentioned. There are seers, there are knights, and there is a city. There is a city that has been, will be, is, and it's lost. You have to find it. You're seeking it, ? Everything else you can build yourself, and I really like that there's this sort of loose core. It reminds me, Matt, of Brindlewood Bay, how there's, a loose overarching menacing plot, but like everything within that is kind of your mystery to play around in, and you can engage with or not as much as you want. But I found that like a great motivator and way to start thinking about running adventures, playing the game.
Yeah.
So those are your knights. Those are the things that you've got.
You can get followers, you can get squires, and mechanically, this is an OSR game. You have strength, dexterity, and will, or AKA vigor, clarity, and spirit in this. These are your knightly virtues, and these are all with 3 ability scores. It's very simple to know what kind of roll to make. It uses for saves, which are what your kind of checks are called. It's a simple roll under your virtue check. We'll talk more about the system for deciding how and when to make a roll. And then, all knights have 3 special abilities that are useful mostly in combat. And then you have your special features from when you roll on the big table and you find out what kind of horsey you have, and what weird way your knight is crazy and weird.
Yes. And that's it. I mean, you could roll up a knight in, 5 minutes is
5 minutes.
More time than you would even need. And each of them would be radically and interestingly different. And it's great. You're part of a company. Yeah, you can have squires. You can have equipment and followers. You can become lords or leaders of a hold. You can join war bands. There's very simple rules for all of these, but at the heart of it, you and your compatriots are a company of knights.
And the game really, some OSR games are like, oh, you don't have to roll for ability scores, though usually they do. This one's it really encourages you, roll for ability scores. They're not important or super important for combat. You can still be good at combat without ability scores. And so if you roll low, it's just hey, that means you're playing a less bold, in some ways, knight. You're the clever. It's almost like encouraging your cleverness. Let's find a way to do this without making a check, because this type of check I'm gonna fail.
Right. Well, and this is, I think this is a true to the stories type of situation, right? We all love our Lancelots and our Galahads and our Garwins, but there are lots of other knights of the Round Table who, and all the tales have a very explicit ranking system.
My favorite Sir K said no one.
Said no one ever. So
the loser kid at the a medieval elementary school.
Yeah, the big dumb bully. you know who's the best, right? You know who's the strongest, the fastest knight. You know who's going to find the Grail, but all the other knights have things to do too, and they have to lean on their cleverness or their wits or their pluck, or and I am playing as somebody who doesn't have the very best stats. I think it would be very interesting in this system. So it's correct to tell you not to worry too much about it.
If I can skip ahead, since we're
we
kind
should.
of on the topic, to the section on refereeing. By the way, all these sections are a single page. Designers out there, take note. Fit your rules on a single page or get out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
When making an action procedure, the referee works down a list. 1, intent. What are they trying to do? 2, leverage. What makes it possible? 3, cost. Would it use a resource, cause a virtue loss, or have a side effect? 4, risk. What's at risk? No risk, no roll. Otherwise, make a save or a luck roll. 5, impact. Show the consequences, honor the established risk, and move forward. This is a brilliant bit of guidance for referees.
The action procedure is a really good thing. Later on, McDowall says, "I wish this was like an acronym, but it's not." But I also I also wish it were, because it's a really good way to think about, does this warrant a roll? What is the impact? These are the things that you need to know to make a good ruling as a referee. And I think having this, printed out in front of you in any game, but especially in OSR and in Mythic Bastionland, is a really good idea. This is very smart GMing, and it'll help you make fair and worthwhile decisions about, do we roll? What does the roll do? That kind of thing.
It's just laying out a lot of the process that a lot of GMs naturally do, or have been doing, or have gleaned from other rule sets of, like, what Rob is saying. What are you trying to accomplish? Oh, you want to accomplish that? Great. You do it. Or, okay, what you say you want to, convince the queen to banish, the moss seer. What makes that possible? Like, what resources do you have? Like, and then it's encouraging. They're role playing. Yep. Oh, well, we'll make a convincing argument, or we'll gather the queen's favorite, big pointy hat things that, like, ladies like that like to wear, that kind of stuff. And then you can decide, hey, should we make a check, or should I just randomly determine if this happens? There's a simple luck table. D6, 1 is crisis, 2 to 3 is something potentially bad, and 4 is blessing, a welcome result.
I mean, if you're familiar, when we've talked about Blades in the Dark, it systematizes this a little bit, right? It's got position and effect, and that's smart, because I think these are good things to think about when you're making decisions. I appreciate having it sort of systematized, made concrete, what is in play when your players are trying to do something. And often you don't need to go through all 5 of these. Often the answer is obvious and clear. But if it's complicated, if they're trying to do something that's difficult, or you're not sure how it would play out, this is a really helpful tool.
The other 2 pieces of refereeing, like game mechanics rules, that make me love this OSR game, this is similar to Mothership. Like, when you fail a roll, you should do one of 3 things as a GM: threaten, create a new problem; escalate, make the problem worse; execute, deliver on a threat. Yep. There's nothing. We're not rolling and nothing happens here.
The other thing, and I don't know if this is what you're going to say, Matt, but my very favorite part of the refereeing section is primacy of action.
POA.
POA. And I kind of read this whole part because I think it's so
please.
good. I think it's relevant to every game, but I just love this idea. Even when using the rules for travel, exploration, and combat, remember this: the most important thing: past action taken by the players supersedes content generated by prompts or rules. Their deeds are reality. Mm-hmm. Remember the core of giving players information, honoring their choices, and describing the impact of their actions. I think this is so important. I think this is such like a critical idea about TTRPGs and about game mastering.
This is why McDowall is a celebrated any award-winning RPG author, in that he wrote in 5 sentences and that can be read in 30 seconds. Advice that has taken us 30 hours to get through in this
at least. Yeah.
Hopefully it's entertaining,
though. This is like, I don't know. I mean, this is as important as something like Rule 0. Like, this is a thing that should be at the core of your play, is honor the actions taken by your players, right? Primacy of action. What they said they're going to do and what they did takes precedence over the dice or whatever gets generated. And this can be complicated. This may create extra work for you, but I think this is the core of making a game feel real and making it feel rewarding. And like Matt said, he did it in like 3 sentences. He laid it out. This is obviously something that I have believed and I try to do in my own games, but having Chris McDowall just like say it like this is not something that I had considered. It was incredibly valuable for me to read.
It's so good. And
so good.
There's I don't even know where to go next now that we've, I think, laid out some of the ethos and core of the rules. Maybe back to the beginning about hey, you're knights seeking myths, you want glory.
Let's talk a bit about the nuts and bolts, because the combat and especially the combat, but the system is simple but very interesting. And I really love, I'll tell you what, I love guard. I love the way damage works. I love gambits. So let's talk about these things, because they're really very simple.
Cool.
So
combat is you move around and you can attack things. It really behooves you to gang up on stuff.
Yes.
You just roll your damage dice for your weapon. The better or more interesting weapons often have more damage dice, but might have some other limitation, like you can't use it in a close quarters combat or something like that. And then you take your pool of what you rolled. You, Rob, the Talon Knight, and me, Matt, the Owl Knight, you rolled a D8, I rolled 2D6. We count up, you rolled a 6, I rolled a 5 and a 3. We can use the 6 for damage, and we can use the other ones to do other cool stuff.
Yeah. The other, it's really simple. Matt's right. You want more dice, which means either a more complicated weapon or more people attacking the same target. Makes great sense. And then, you use the highest die you want for damage, and then you can use anything over a 4 for a gambit. And this is really cool. These are basically just like combat maneuvers, bolster, do a little extra damage, move, repel, impair, trap, dismount, that kind of thing, or something that you come up with. I think this is a beautiful, elegant system. I think it lets you do cool, fun things in combat. I think it's really neat. If you have a really high die, you can do a strong gambit, all those things, but there's no save. There's some, like Matt said, everybody knows 3 feats: smite, focus, and deny, which are exactly what they sound like. One does.
The great thing is you can always use them, but once you've used them, you make a save in one of your stats or become fatigued.
And I think this is a very great, elegant system. You can just do them. There's a consequence. If you fail, you become fatigued. This, like I said at the beginning, this is not super complicated. This is not all that much different from a standard OSR game, but it, to me, adds just enough interest and complexity to make me want to run and play this game a lot more than DCC or something like that.
Rob, when we were last playing an OSR game, I felt it too, but I could you were showing no visible signs of this. But I think I know you so well. We were in a combat where the majority of the rolls were, of course, D20 rolls, in which people were just missing, and it was like, what's even the point of this? Can't we skip to this? There's none of that. You're always rolling damage. It might not do very much damage if you do poorly, but then you're just reminded, wait, we should be ganging up so we can pool our dice or doing something clever. And then if I can think of something else clever to do, I can use a gambit. Or if I get in a bad situation, I can use a feat.
This is very clever. And I want to, because you can have a similar outcome in Mythic Bastionland. Matt, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I was also separately playing Morkborg not that long ago, and we have praised Morkborg. I think it's a great game.
This is my problem with Morkborg too.
But I was in like a 30-minute combat that was just a clown show. Like I don't like, everybody was missing. We were all like constantly going down. It was just a whole lot of like nothing happens, like failing, it was very like, it was not fun for me. I enjoy a little creative failure, but I was not having a good time. But
it's not like the D20 roll isn't encouraging you to be clever.
That's right.
In the mechanics of itself. So no one's like, well, there's not anything I can really get from like coming up with a clever plan here. Based on the rules. Now, of course, a good
D20 again.
DM can get over this. But this one, there's always an opportunity to be clever, even if you didn't come up with clever terrain or something like that. Or the players have the tools too, not just you as the DM.
And not only is there always something to do, there's always like a lever you can pull or something you can try. But even when you're just sort of like going blow for blow, because that can happen if you're rolling, you'll always hit, but you might not do very much damage, or you might not do any damage depending on like what their armor is. But like, that still, to me, and this is maybe psychological, feels better than like you miss and like nothing happens. Like you're not going to have any dead turns, but like you're going to have way fewer dead actions and dead turns in Mythic Bastionland than you would in any comparable OSR games. And there's a lot that try to like mitigate this, and there are a lot that are fun, even though they stick to sort of like the tried and true formula. But that's one of the things that I think makes Mythic Bastionland really stand out.
2 additions that I think are important to say, which is, one, this is still an OSR game. It's still incredibly deadly. You still die and you lose your guard, and you might not have a lot of it. And the antagonists in this, or just a guard with a longbow, can easily take your night out if you plan poorly or you get unlucky. And second, I love guard. Guard is just hit.
Yeah, I love
for
guard.
all intents and purposes. However, guard resets as soon as you have the barest moment to catch your breath.
I think so. So guard, sorry, we haven't said specifically what it is. You roll a D6 in character creation, and this is basically your temp hit points is the way to think about it. You have, this much guard. You can soak up that many hits. But yeah, all it takes is basically like a brief rest after combat, and you get it back. It means that your knights are a little bit less squishy. They have a little bit like of a lever to pull to stay alive, but it's not a lot. It's 6 at the most. And after that, you start taking actual damage. And if you take a little, bad things happen. Like if you take a lot, really bad things happen. And we'll talk about,
guess what? Knights die on their quest.
They die on their quest.
Remember, it takes 5 minutes to roll up a new one.
Yeah. There's lots of dead knights at the round table too. Like it's not like they all made it to the end, a lot of them died. And like we'll talk about some of the myths, but like some of them are not super deadly, but some of them are. Some of them will do all kinds of damage, and if your knights are going toe to toe with something like the beast or the troll, they will not survive like more than one round of combat unless they're being very, very clever. And that's, that's a classic OSR type situation. But I think it's, you're given just enough tools that it doesn't feel like, again, like Morkborg, you wander into a room and, a big skeleton smashes you with a morning star and you're rolling a new character. Like it's a little, you have a little bit more to work with than that.
You should wear armor. Armor is good.
You're
a knight. God damn it.
Knights wear armor.
And then, is there anything else you want to say about the combat rules before we talk about some of the other like kind of player and
they're so
GM
simple.
Introducing? Yeah,
I love them. You get scars if your vigor runs out, and I love scars. They're like, it's like a neat character option in general. The feats are cool. They have, there's just like a little bit of information on things like mounted combat and jousts and shield walls.
Duels, tourneys,
duels.
Shield walls. You can form a shield wall.
All of these rules can be summarized in a sentence or a short
Yeah.
paragraph, and it's very well done.
Yeah. There's a table of equipment. It is incredibly simple and open for like, hey, do you want this cool weapon when your knight gets better? Yeah, absolutely. You've got
Yep.
that. And then there's rules for hirelings and squires and vassals and councils. And what if your knights are ruling a holdfast? What if they have formed a circle and are ruling the whole realm? What are the myths? How to create the realm. We'll get into that in a second. How to create a site of interest, like a little 6-point dungeon. How to advance through time. Another cool thing we haven't even gotten to is that in this game, at the end of the session, you move forward in time because
Passing of seasons. I love this. Yeah.
This campaign, even if you played for 6 sessions, you could tell like a whole, arc. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're constantly moving time forward. And I love that.
This is a game that's designed to be easy to play, but like a lot happens. Like you can accomplish a lot in a single session, and you don't need to, you'll find, encounter, and defeat a myth in like one play session, and it will feel like a whole adventure. And then the next time you'll do it again. It's
right.
It's
not
great.
Only will you like, hey, okay, this session we finally made it to the end of the myth. No, you'll start out somewhere, travel to the myth, have some wacky adventures on the way, and then do it.
Yeah, it's incredibly well designed. And and then you'll advance time, you'll travel to other realms. There's rules for all these things, but they're very simple. They're very easy to execute.
One of the best things about this book is the authors here have said, we know you'll probably be filling in some blanks and improvising as you roll on, like a table as the players are exploring, and there's something here. What is it? You're given huge tables, another like 72 table for nature, civilization, people, combat, of things to just inspire you and fill that out. Also, the rest of the book has more random tables on it. So if you flip to a random page of the book, there's a curse, Heralds of Doom. There is an object, the Pain Blade.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff to spark your imagination and to help you fill in the blanks in your realm or in your adventure. This is really helpful. Lots of really good thematic, loosely defined stuff that you can plug in anywhere.
We finally got to the part I've been dying to talk about, which is, Rob, what is this Mythic Bastionland about? It's about the knights.
It's about the knights.
There are 72 knights. They all have a title.
2 knights.
Yeah. The Mask Knight, the Cosmic Knight, the Fox Knight. Rob, what's your favorite knight?
I'm so glad you asked this question. I have trouble picking. I really like, weirdly enough, I guess, the Pigeon Knight. I like the Pigeon Knight can sort of like find his way, but like doesn't know where its home is. The Pigeon Knight like has forgotten where they come from. So they're always finding their way somewhere, but never to their home and never to the city. I love that as like a character hook. I think that's so neat. I thought that was really cool. There's a couple of others that
no home to call their own. Horizon is their hearth, each hill their throne.
I love that. There's others that I think are like, I don't know, mechanically more interesting, but I was just charmed by the idea of the Pigeon Knight.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
Also, like you restore your spirit in the Pigeon Knight when you wrangle the truth out of an uncooperative person, which is perfect. It like gives this character something to like always work towards in any interaction with an NPC. Most of them do something like this.
Speaking of like the tables, right? Like here's the memories of your lost home. You roll a 1 through 6 on the hue table, emerald, marble, golden, whatever, and then roll 1d6 on the shape part of it, towers, walls, flowers, so you'll have golden walls is all you remember of your home. Like this is one page, everything you need to know mechanically, that has given me just like what I think is just an incredible idea for a questing knight. I love this guy.
Yeah. And You have also one of the seers you can populate your realm. You automatically have an NPC that you can have this character have a relationship with that can give them quests or cause trouble. The frozen seer, draped in white feather cloak, face concealed by a fractal warping of space, can reveal possible futures through their collection of delicate mirrors, each of which must be destroyed afterwards. Wants to the knights to succeed, but only after a painful struggle. As the frozen seer, the referee.
It might be, but yeah, like listeners, that gives you, that's a whole ass story and backstory and important contact right there, just in a few sentences. I love the way this is done.
I don't think I read every page of every night, but they're all, every single one I delved into and imagined creating a character for, or printed off for one shots. I was just like, I love this. I love this little knight.
I love all of them. They're so cool. Each of them has something cool going on.
Anything else you want to say about?
Oh, Matt, I want to know
your
favorite knight. What's your favorite knight?
Thank you for asking, Rob. I like the Owl Knight.
Good choice.
The Owl Knight can touch trees and know what the tree knows. I just like a investigator. Like, hey, I want to go touch some trees. There's another one that works like a little similar, but with rocks. But then the rocks get mad at them. And
that's right. That's right. The Owl Knight also is knighted by the Screaming Seer. And the only text is "Rog, Yog," utterly useless most of the time, but occasionally scribbles prophetic notes when left alone for a while. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'll never listen. There's no wrong choices here. You could let the players go through and pick a knight, but I think they'll have fun if you let them roll once or twice and pick their favorite and come up with some other flourishing touches for the character. They're gonna have a great time.
Yeah,
and again, questing ain't no how permanent, son. So remember, you're gonna run out of guard at any time, or
that's right,
lose all your virtues and die.
So you can always roll up another knight if you don't like the one that you have. Yeah, this is the book is worth it for this list of knights alone. This is 72 potential NPCs, characters. It's all of them is rich with detail. They've all got a table. They've all got interesting equipment. This is great. This was just an absolute blast to read through.
Even if you didn't want to play this game, and why would you not? If you're just like, hey, I want to like a allied or antagonistic realm to my players that's ruled by inhabited by a council of 72 knights, you have full of flavor like knights ready to go.
Yep.
And they're like, you're never going to get a knight that's like, I have the power to shoot a fireball at an enemy, but they all have like enough little bit of magic and weirdness and stuff. Some of them, maybe it's not explicitly magical or anything, but you feel like you're in this, again, it's in the title, mythic world.
Yeah. Yes. It's all like a little bit weird. It's all a little bit unusual. Even the stuff that's very like combat focused is it's not like you cast fireball. It's interesting stuff.
Okay. We could talk all episode about the knights. We could go through all 72 of them and I guess read bits of it and squee. But should we talk about the myths? These are the real heart of what you can put together as the referee or the game master here. There's, again, 72 of them. You will never run out. Listen, if in a regular, boring old ass fantasy OSR game, you fight, 2d6 goblins, or for some reason are 2d6 goblins, in this one, you fight the goblin.
The goblin. That's right. And these are all, listen to the names: Plague, Wall, the Order, Underworld, the Sea, right? Mountain, Star, Sun. Coming. Like, so to be clear, these are not all or even most of them just like, this is a big bad that you have to fight. This is a myth that you have to like. I was thinking
You
about
have to seek the myths, Rob.
You have to seek the myths. No, but seriously, like if you read the old tales, and I was watching, The Green Knight the other night in preparation for this, and was watching with my wife.
I was watching The Last Duel, and I'm ready to fight you, Rob.
It's not very mythic, Matt. It's not mythic at all.
It's too real.
It's way too real. But like, the Green Knight shows up and he's like, let's play a game. And if you win, you get my cool axe. And my wife was there, and I'm not sure she was entirely paying attention, but she was like, why did they want to fight the knight? Why do they want his axe? And I'm like,
great question.
It's a magical axe. You're a knight. That's what you do. You seek the magical axe because that's the story that you're in, right? Do you want it? Probably not. Is it useful? I don't think so. But like, it's a magical axe. That's what you do, right? You gotta seek the myths, and
you gotta know the question to ask the Fisher King to heal him.
That's right.
Like, why? Yeah, I don't know what the question is. Does it reveal something deeper about the meaning of life or God or something? Maybe. Who knows? I'm not a medievalist.
I mean, speaking of the Green Knight, it's like a little bit like, well, you get to the end of that and you're like, well, what was this about? Well, I'm not sure I understand the purpose or the point of this whole myth. It was cool though. We had a good time. And that's like a lot of these are like that. Like
that's role-playing games, baby.
That's role-playing games. They're like, yeah, here's all these crazy things happening. You have to help. You have to survive. Maybe you fight a like dangerous enemy at the end. But really, a lot of it is just like you're encountering something mythical, and your knights have to figure out how to deal with it in one way or another. And it can be hitting it with a weapon, but often it's not.
Yeah. Like, again, you're not fighting goblins, you're fighting the goblin. And of course, you'll eventually, if you're seeking the myths, meet their cleverness, the goblin lord of all lost things. And can only be harmed by objects that have lain lost for the last 99 years. And sorry. And as you're getting closer or exploring the hexes, seeking the myths, you're going to encounter omens, and each myth has escalating omens, like a lost lad full of stories claims a little old man called him into the woods. What do the knights want to investigate about this little boy? What is that name? You go to your tables, you flip to a random page, you get some inspiration, you improv it, and then eventually you're dragged to the realm of lost things, tunnels under piles of bric-a-brac. The goblin gloats from atop his pile. Freedom is only granted for a binding favor which the goblin will enforce, right? Like this myth is about like putting your players in debt to a goblin, unless they can find those,
unless they find 100-year-old, axe to hit him with. They gotta
that's been lost for 100 years.
Right. A lost axe. Yeah, you gotta grant him a favor. And a lot of them are like this. You have to solve a riddle or answer a question or have made the right decision, because you can't stab the sea to death, right? The sea is another one that I love.
Yeah.
There's you meet a knight, the two-hearted knight who bellows at the sea, trying to repel the water with their coral ring. They don't know they must be submerged in the water to command it. This is the fourth omen. And then the final omen is a gigantic wave as tall as a mountain range that will wash over the realm. You can't hit that with an axe, right? You have to have a better solution, right? Your knights need to have learned how to, use the ring or learn from a seer or something like that. There's a really good mix, I think. Sometimes it is just like a big bad thing to fight, which you often have to spend a lot of time investigating and asking questions and solving puzzles to get to. But other times it's just a force of nature or something super weird that you can't defeat by just combat alone.
Or it's like a thing that like warps and changes the realm or corrupts or changes or sometimes even improves NPCs, right? This is like, hey, the king has fallen into despair kind of stuff.
Yes.
Can you make this king not sad?
One of my favorites is the Order, which is it doesn't like tell you like what the Order believes in or what they're about. they're, and you can sort of, your players can kind of decide, do you side with the order? Do you oppose the order? Are they going too far? Are they, are they a cruel order of Knights Templar? Or are they like a good order of something else? Like it's not well defined. And you have to sort of, your knights have to decide how to engage with it. There's a lot that are like that. These are very well written. There's just 6 prompts, these omens, a cast, so basically like monsters or NPCs, and then some charts, and you have the rest to work with.
Yeah. And Rob and I are suckers for interlocking mechanisms of play that make the GM's life easier. The way the rules for exploration and travel are laid out is that if you create a realm, which is just a little hex map, and then put your players anywhere and then have them do anything, the engine starts moving.
Yes.
And it will never stop until you're ready to play a different game.
You move to a hex, you roll on the chart to see what you find there. Eventually you'll get an omen. The omen leads to the myth. You've solved the myth. Next thing, you go to Wilderness Square.
Get some glory.
You meet a merchant. The merchant tells you about a myth. It's you. I mean, I don't want to say you don't have to think, but like it just like
you have
it
to
really
improvise.
You improvise, but it part of like why this is fun for me and why I like this and why I like Mothership is like it's fun for me to be surprised too. Like I love obviously creating my own worlds and doing my own homebrew, but like I love when I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen today, or I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. And Mythic Bastionlands makes it really easy to let your players ping pong around the realm that you made and find myths and fight monsters and do interesting things.
Yeah. And what if your players get stuck? All of them got a seer. You all got a crazy old codger, You
got a seer.
Weird.
And you have your oaths. This is what's good about this is really clever about this game, right? You have a seer. Yeah, you have a weird old guy who will tell you something if you can find him, or you just look at the oaths that you wrote down, seek the myths, honor the seers, protect the realm, right? Like that's everybody signed. Everybody has this emblazoned on their shield, right? Like everybody agreed to this. It solves the problem of like, well, my character wouldn't do that. Your character would. They're a knight, all right?
Yeah.
They seek the myths, they honor the seers, they protect the realm.
How you want to do it, completely up to you.
Yes.
Right. Gosh, it just keeps going. And because of the way omens work, right, you're gonna be getting those little hints of other things that are happening. And because they're myths and like they're mythical and not, I don't know, a regular like invention in a role-playing game, like our starship is running out of gas. I can look at the fuel tank meter. When is this myth gonna be resolved? Well, that's just up to us, know.
I mean,
so if
it
we
does
want
matter, but like it serves the narrative, right? It happens when it needs to happen,
right? And when we put this with the most important thing to remember is what we have discussed and done before, then it all falls together. And your players you're going to give your players a map of the realm. They're going to see where they can go. They won't know where the myths are, but they'll see other things on the map. And when they fail a myth, which they probably will, or they won't, like a bad thing will happen, they'll see like, hey, guess what, Rob? That section of the realm is now C.
That's right. There are consequences for and this is cool. A lot of the myths, if you fail, which you might do, they'll leave something behind. Something will have changed for the better, for the worse, or just changed. And that's cool.
Remind me, Rob, did the knights ever find the Grail? Did they ever get it?
It depends on which version.
Okay,
generally no, though. Generally no. Right. They really didn't.
Quest.
Yeah. They found it too late or something like that. But yeah, I mean this is, I think, romantic chivalric tales are often tragic. They are about knights failing their knightly duties, about being imperfect, about not, trying to be good, trying to be holy and failing. I mean, this is speaking of the the Green Knight, kind of like the whole thing behind the story is Gawain, the greatest or one of the greatest of Arthur's knights, is, you know, a bit of a coward. He fails to do the thing that he's supposed to do. He fails to keep his word and be fully forth and upright. And that's why I think Mythic Bastionlands is like a great fit for OSR. You fail.
Alicia Vikander was like, "Hey, just stay at this house with me." And I might fail.
Honestly, Dev Patel did better than I would have. He 100% was a better knight than I am. But
great cast in that role. I can't imagine anyone else doing it now, having seen it.
But this is the thing, is like, you know, like something like this is where the sort of the theme and the narrative that we're playing in really helps, really synergizes with OSR style play, in the same way that Mothership is a great fit because it's a survival horror game and you're going to get eaten by alien monsters. In Mythic Bastionland, you're a knight and you're going to fail. You're going to succeed a lot, but you're going to fail on your quest. Some of you are going to die. Some of you are going to, become disillusioned and retire to a monastery after failing to find.
Or time is going to advance,
and you will die of old age. Yes, that's right.
And then die in combat because
you will age
really
before you can. Yeah, before you can find the Grail. You'll. This is great. I love this. This is a great way to run a game.
Okay. We're still talking about like myths and cool things. And the final third of the book is the city quest. So like, hey, how do you want to like in this campaign? What was the point of all this? Or, actually maybe just have a good time, tell a story along the way, past the dark hours, by candlelight. And then, the final third of the book, great advice. What do we want to say about this? I guess quickly.
I love the city quest. We don't have to talk about it very much, but it's, your players reach a certain level of glory of knighthood, and then you start rolling on the city quest omens table, which is 24 instead of 6, and you get high enough and you get sort of a resolution, which are all very open-ended. It reminded me again of like Brindlewood Bay. It also reminded me a bit of Ultraviolet Grasslands in the Black City, where you kind of know what's going on with the city, but it's not told to you. It's not given to you. I won't say too much more about it, but I love this as sort of like a culmination to a campaign. And
I'll also say that the city is open enough. Like it can be anything. Like if you have like a cool thing that's emerging during play over what the city is.
Yeah. You're given room to do that.
Well, the city, it's only a model. So there. All right.
We made it 40 minutes between Monty Python references. We already mentioned that like the last third is just extended examples of play with thoughts from McDowall. This is so good. This is so useful. Even if you're not running Mythic Bastionlands, having the inside track, the commentary from somebody of McDowall's skill is incredibly valuable.
It's like, instead of writing 200 pages of rules, cut that by 30% and add gloss, right? In the like textual use of the word to your rules, some commentary from the scholars on these rules, just so like, hey, if there's a part of the game that like you want to get better at, you can read the advice. If you feel like you got it handled, we don't have such a long rule book now.
Yeah, this was, again, the rules are already in there. This was just a very, very useful section, a great way to explain the rules. I would love for more designers to do this.
Yeah. There's really great advice on running the simple combat, on encouraging the players to think critically. The mass combat rules here are really simple. There's
they're really good.
That because again, if you want to play the knight game where your knights become lords of the realm, you can do that. I like the way equipment works, which is just like, hey, do you have something the person wants to get whatever equipment? There's great advice on how to use the omens, and this is my favorite bit of like how to run the game stuff, which is like, this is kind of how I do it. These are like probably 2 other reasonable options in how to do it. You do you.
It's really well done. It's really great advice.
Rob, what else can we say other than there's not an aspect of this game that I don't like? It doesn't come with a character sheet. You can find some online, but I think the idea is you can kind of write on a piece of paper all the things you need to know.
Yeah,
but
that would be nice. You could have a really pretty character sheet, and there's a lot of great design in this book, so you'd think there would be one. We have often said that we like a starting adventure. Given the nature of this game, no starting adventure would make sense, so you don't need one.
Go somewhere. Do anything. The adventure has begun. You're seeking the quest.
Matt and I both followed McDowall's instructions for creating a realm, which are very, very simple. You use a 12 by 12 hex grid.
It took me 15 minutes.
Took me 15 minutes as well. And I have a bunch of meadows and holds and some lakes and a full-on realm. I have 6 myths. Bam. I'm ready to go. I could draw up a whole new realm in another 15 minutes. I might take 30 and really get really detailed and clever with it, but
or draw my realm in a really pretty way.
Yeah. I might copy it over and make it look nicer, but this was one of my favorite, world generation. This is very easy to do. It was awesome. It was so cool. I could run a game right now with the realm that I generated in 15 minutes.
And your players through play are going to take over this realm. They're going to be like, hey, these are the parts we've explored.
Yes.
These are the parts that we haven't. This is where our seat of power is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a little board game for them to play on. And oh man, and you can generate the entire realm rolling on tables without thinking, but then as you start getting just something onto paper by rolling on tables, then you're like, man, this river goes through these mountains. There's one of my myths is the Colossus, and I rolled to put it here, but I could put it here in these impassable mountains. Maybe that's where the Colossus should be from. And then who lives next to the in the shadow of the Colossus, for example? And then you're already things are you're given character to what was once just a forest and is now, the forest of whites or something like that. Maybe don't put that on the map because that would reveal what myth is there.
Sure.
Think of that in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, this also just, I think, reminds me very much of the Dark of Hot Springs Island in that it has lots of random generation, lots of tables, lots of tools to help you guide your players, but lots of room for creativity. I enjoyed reading this and thinking about this and generating a realm. I'm going to at least try to run a couple of sessions of this as soon as I have an opportunity because it's so easy and it's fun. And this is a masterpiece of design. This comes highly recommended even if you don't want to run these games because it's a great tool. A+, 5 stars. Love this book.
This is a game perfectly designed for a short or medium length campaign play. Hey, let's play a full campaign that we'll remember forever in 6 sessions.
Yeah,
great. You can, and I have done a one shot. It's also super fun. You're like, hey, we'll deal with one myth. This will be interesting. Is it the world's greatest one-shot engine? No, because part of the fun is let's build this mythic Arthurian-ish world together.
But it's a good one-shot game because it
fuck it up with our silliness
in a single session, which is not true of a lot of games. So that makes it still stand out as a one-shot engine. But Matt's right. This clearly benefits from let's get a few sessions in and see what happens when we succeed or fail.
Yeah. Is this game for you? Yes. Do you have to like knights to for this game to be you? I guess so, but
probably.
I don't know. They're cool. They're wacky enough. They're we're not talking here super realistic.
No.
You don't
have
the
to
same
be. Yeah.
weird suit of armor from the.
They're also like not Catholics. Like they're you know, there's a little bit about like what they believe.
I rolled up the Catholic Knight. No, they're not Catholics.
But like, yeah, they don't, you know, you don't have to like be, you know, puritanical like religious knights. You're just knights. You're just questing. You're just guys who goes on quests.
You're knights who serve wizards. Insane wizards, right? Like these wizards are like the wizards in Lankmar wizards. You know, they're weird.
Yeah. So you can do what you want with it as long as you like knights going on quests, which I think is a pretty flexible category.
Yeah. Yeah, this might be we've read a fair bit of them now. This might be my favorite OSR game I've ever read and played in. God.
I need to actually
try this
before I'm willing
try this game
to say it, but I'm confident that this is gonna be my favorite once I put you know, rubber to the road. But this is already something I'm gonna have nearby when I'm building anything that's OSR or even like fantasy related, just for reference. It's already part of my personal library, a key part. I loved this.
Thanks for going on this quest with us, listeners. Sorry if you were disappointed that you thought we would do Monty Python's co-curricular medieval reenactment, whatever. We probably won't review that, but you know, I'm so glad we talked about Mythic Bastionland.
Thanks for listening, everybody. If you have thoughts or questions, hit us up at dmofdone@gmail.com. Find us on Blue Sky. Check the link in the show notes for our other social medias. Join us on Discord, all that good stuff. As always, thanks for listening, everybody, and keep rolling them dice.